So actually, if you look at some architecture, so what's about the divide instruction? So for divide instruction, it will use the least significant n divided by 2 bits and divided by 2 bits. The least significant n divided by 2 bits and least significant n divided by 2 bits. Let's assume we have 16-bit architecture, and actually, if you have, it will use the R270 divided by R170. So actually, if you perform any operation, so there are two outputs. In division, we have two outputs. One is the quotient and what is the remainder. So actually, we also divide it into, let's assume, n divided by 2 bits and n divided by 2 bits, assuming that this R1, R2 and R1 is n bits. So the quotient will be stored into this part and the remainder will be stored in this part. So some architecture also supports divide instructions. Okay. And the same argument is true for multiply instruction. If an architecture does not support divide instruction, so then you have to write a subroutine. The same thing. So now if you look at the if in a microprocessor, so actually we can divide it into 3 types of instruction. One is data transfer instruction, one is data transformation instruction, and one is control instruction. Okay, so data transfer instruction, so the state of the microprocessor is defined by the state of the register and the state of the memory. So in the data transfer, we move the data either from one register to another register, from register to memory, from memory to register, or from memory to memory. So how it is determined? Who will decide it from where the transfer is made? It's typically using move instruction. Okay, and in data transfer, there can also be one movement that is called as the immediate instruction. So in data transfer, it's determined by the addressing mode. And the addressing mode that we have: register addressing mode, register indirect addressing mode, absolute addressing mode. Okay, register indirect with pre-decrement, with post-increment, and with displacement addressing mode, and stack addressing mode, which is also one variant of the register indirect addressing mode. The push is register indirect with post increment, and the pop is register indirect with pre-decrement. Okay, so these are the data transfer instruction. Now we have some data transformation instruction. So if you look at the data transformation instruction, so it is actually, there is arithmetic instruction. So arithmetic instruction is represented by add instruction, subtract instruction, multiply instruction, and divide instruction. Okay. Now if you look at the logical instruction, so in the logical instruction we have logical and logical or logical exclusive or logical NAND. So these are the type of logical operations are there. So now let's assume if you have this logical operation, so if we say that and R3, R2 and R1, so it will perform a bitwise operation. So what's the bitwise operation? So actually, if we say this is A and this is B and this is C, it depends on the addressing mode. So in this particular example, we are using register indirect addressing, register addressing mode. So if we have A, so A0, A1 up to AN minus 1. Okay, if A is n bit, B0, B1 and Bn minus 1. And it will perform bit by bit. So it is A0, B0. A0, B0. So let's say if it is 0, 0, the output will be 0. If it is 0, 1, output will be 1, 1, 0, sorry, 0, 0 and 1, 1, 1. So it is performed bit by bit. So actually this is a bitwise AND, it is a bitwise AND, and this is a bitwise AND. And you can use this instruction. You can use this instruction if you want to write a subroutine for multiplying instruction. If you remember. So you can use this bitwise AND there. You can use bitwise AND there. Similarly, there is exclusive OR, interrogative NOT. So these are logical operations. Logical operation. Okay. Now we have another operation: logical shift left, logical shift right. Okay, and then arithmetic shift left, arithmetic shift right. Okay, so what's logical shift left? LSL. Logical shift left. Okay, so now let's assume we say that R4 and hash 4. So let's assume R4 is 16 bits. So if the contents of R4 is A15, A14 up to A0, A1, A2 and A3. Okay, A14, A13 and A12 and so on. So this is the contents of R4. What will be the contents of R4 after the execution of this instruction? Shift left. Shifting from the left side. Okay, so shifting from the left side, so how many zeros will be inserted?
4.
4 0. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and this will be A0, A1 up to where? 11. So 4 zeros will be inserted from the left. And if logical shift right R4 hash 3, then 0 0 0, then A15, A14 up to 0 1 2 3. Okay, now if we say if we want to use this logical shift left, what is actually the advantage of logical shift left if you are shifting?
What is it?
The advantage of logical shift left. There should be some
multiplication.
Yes, very good. So actually it provides you a multiplication of the power of 2. Multiplication of power of 2. So actually if you are shifting left, logical shift left, shift by 1 means multiply by 2. Shift left 2 multiply by 4. 3 multiply by 8 and n multiply by 2 to the power n. It's so simple. So let's assume if we have this data, 8-bit data 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 1 0 1. Okay. So if it is actually equivalent to what? 5. Actually its weight is 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 3, 2 to the power 4, 2 to the power 5, 2 to the power 6. So actually 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 and 64. So if we push 2 zeros, so actually it will be 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. So actually if we see this, so actually it is actually 4 plus 16. 4 plus 16 is 20. And 5 multiplied by 4? 20. So actually if you logical shift left from the left hand side, it is actually multiplication by 2 to the power n. But in this case, special care should be taken. You should take a special care that actually if you are removing this most significant part, okay, so actually it will be lost. It will be lost. Let's assume if you want to do this kind of, you want to have multiplication of 2, multiplication of the rest to the power n. So you would never like to lose this data in the most significant way. So you can actually use some kind of other instructions to avoid overflowing the data. You can store the data in like 2 registers, just like in multiplication, if you remember. Because if you multiply 2 n-bit number, the result will be 2 n. It will not fit within the one register. So maybe if you are using a logical shift left, so you should make sure that the most significant n divided by 2 bits are zeros to avoid overflow. If you want to contain the register, the result within the same register. So being as a programmer, you should take care of all the overflow conditions. That the data should not be lost. So let's assume if you say that R4 logical shift left, R4 should insert 4 zeros from the left hand side. And using the same, why it is multiplied by 2? Why it is multiplied by 2? If you look at this shift, you are actually increasing its weight by 2. That's the reason that is a multiplier. Okay, now if you want to multiply some operand, some integer, and you want to multiply that integer by 8, so logical shift left is better or multiply instruction is better?
Left to shift.
Logical shift left is better because logical shift left. So if you look at an architecture, a particular architecture, maybe the logical shift left take 3 cycles, and maybe the multiply instruction take 30 cycles or 40 cycles. Now, if we say if you want to multiply any register, by 17. If you want to multiply any register by 17, how we can do? We can use. So now let's assume if we say this is your source register R4. This is your source register R4, and this is your destination register R5. So R5 should not contain 17 multiplied by R4. How we can do achieve this? First we logical shift left by 4. Okay, and store the result, and then we add. So actually how we can say, so it is equal to, it is 17 R4 is equal to 16 R4 plus R4. So plus R4 actually logical shift left R4 by 4 and plus R4, and then you can use this intermediate instruction. So now let's say if we say, okay, if we want to add it by 19, so actually 19 R4 is equal to. So if you look at some kind of a DSP kind of operations, and it requires rigorous multiplication, and if it is of the order of 2, then it's very easy to use. The same argument is true for the logical shift right. So in logical shift right is actually divide by 2. So actually it should divide by 2n. So this is logical shift left and arithmetic. Logical shift left and arithmetic logical shift right. Then there is also arithmetic shift left. What is the difference between arithmetic shift left and logical shift left? G.
पूरे बाइट्स बल्कि वर्ड arithmetic में byte.
Logical and arithmetic, there are two representations. One is a signed representation and one is an unsigned representation. So actually if you have a signed representation, let's assume if this value is A15, A14 up to A0, and let's assume if this contents is 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, and so forth, some value. But if you are shifting, so this number is negative or positive?
Negative.
This number is actually negative. But if you logical shift by 1,
It becomes positive.
it becomes positive. So the arithmetic shift replicate this A15, so that when you are shifting from the left, so the negative number should remain negative. So actually in arithmetic shift left, the MSB is actually replicated. If it's 0, it still remains 0. I mean it's 1, then it's. So this is the difference between arithmetic. The same is for arithmetic shift right. So when you are shifting to the right and you are actually negative by 2, it will replace this move A15 in this direction. So these are arithmetic shift left and arithmetic shift right. Okay, and then there are some like instructions like rotate instructions. Rotate, it's like simple, just like rotate is very. Like let's assume we have some registers. I'm writing it in hexadecimal for just because writing the binary very useful. 5832956B. Okay. So if this is some register R0 and I want to move this 5A here, so actually I will rotate using ROR, rotate, right? R0 with 8. What will be the new content? 32956B
5.
5. Now this kind of operation is typically used like the swapping of the byte or something like that. You can do this kind of operation. So rotate right is in the right direction and rotate left is in the left direction. Okay, so this is rotate left and rotate right instruction. Okay, now apart from these instructions, we have now program controlled instructions. Actually, if you look at the YouTube videos, so they are explained more better there, okay, in more detail. So if you want to have these detail, and also have covered some examples there for the undergraduate course. So now if we say program control instructions. So control instructions change the flow of the program. Change the flow of the program. There are two types of control instruction: unconditional and conditional instructions. What is unconditional and non-conditional instruction? What is the example of unconditional? So the program control instruction is unconditional and conditional. What is the example of unconditional instruction?
Function, for example, we call
Jump to a label, and label is actually an address, or jump subroutine, and actually label a function, it is actually the address of the subroutine. So these are the unconditional jump, like you are calling a function in C. Or go to. So jump is actually an equivalent of go to, and JSR is actually function calling in C++. So now in conditional instruction we have some compare, and for compare there we have two fields, Q and P. Okay, so Q and P may be defined by any addressing mode. Compare Q and P. So if we write compare R3 and R4, which addressing mode we are using? Register and register. Compare R3 with 5.
register and
Immediate. Compare A0 plus R3.
post increment with register.
So a lot of variants are there. So register indirect with post increment and register. So actually this Q can be any addressing mode. This P can also be any addressing mode. So if you compare these instructions, so what will be evaluated? So actually it will evaluate Q minus P. It will evaluate Q minus P. So Q minus P, and the outcome of, let's assume this, the contents of Q and P will be evaluated and will be evaluated in some result. It will compute the result based on the contents of Q and based on the contents of P. What will be the value of P or Q will be determined by the addressing mode. So it is, what will be in the first instruction? What is Q now?
R3.
Contents of R3, not R3. Contents of R3. What is P?
Contents of R.
R4. In this case, contents of R3,
And 5.
immediate value. And then contents of the memory location pointed out by address register. And this are three contents of R3. So it will compute the result. There are different possibilities. First possibilities. The result is positive, the result is negative, and the result is 0. So after the execution of this instruction, compare instruction, it will only set the flags. It will neither change Q nor P. Q and P will remain unchanged, but it will compute this result. Result is equal to Q minus P. So if the result is positive, so it will set what will be the Z flag and what is the N flag. Z and N, Z and it will update the flags. So if the result is 0, Z will be 1. If the result is non-zero, Z will be 0. If the result is negative, N will be 1. If the result is positive, N will be 0. And based on these flags, microprocessor may take a decision. What kind of decision? I will elaborate it now. After compare instruction, we have one Okay. Now, how the instructions are executed in microprocessor typically in sequence? How the control of the flow is changed? How control flow is changed?
Unconditional
Conditional or unconditional jumping. Let's assume we have some instruction 1, instruction 2, instruction 3, and then we have jump label. And then this is actually instruction 4. And then instruction 5. Okay. Now if you have jump, what is label?
It's basically
Memory
label
location.
where the
It is actually an address. It is actually an address. How the instructions are stored in memory? If you remember, the instructions are stored in memory. So now let's assume this is your memory, and these are instructions. So now it is instruction 1, I2, I3, I4, I5, I6, and so forth, so on. Let's assume this address is A. This address is A plus 4, A plus 8, A plus 12, A plus 16. What is the size of instruction now? The size of the instruction is 4 byte. Okay? So we assume that each instruction size is 4 byte. Let's assume this instruction is add, subtract, or multiply, whatever instruction they are typically seen. So first, program counter will point it here. It will fetch this instruction, decode this instruction, execute. Then this instruction, this instruction, then this instruction, and then the instruction. Now, maybe there is one instruction, and that instruction is here I100. Some instruction I100 is stored here, and this instruction has some address. So what will be this address? A plus 100 minus 1 multiplied by 4. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
100 minus 1, because the first instruction is 1. A multiplied by 100 minus 1 multiplied by 4. This instruction. Okay, this instruction has an address. This is the address. This is an address. Now you are calling jump label. So label is an address and label is an address. So this is in assembly code. This label is here. So this is I6, I7, and so forth, so on. I99. All of this, and this is the I100. What you are going to do? You are jumping, changing the flow program from here to
Here.
here. You are changing the flow of the program from this address to this address. What is the address of this instruction?
jump label. A plus 12. A plus 12.
8 plus 12. The address of this instruction is A plus 12. What is the address of this instruction?
A plus 100 minus 1 multiplied by 4.
A plus 99 multiplied by 4. This is in binary, sorry, in decimal. And A is the A. What is A? A is the base address. Actually, it is the address of the first instruction. Let's assume if you call some main, and this main will be translated to some assembly code. Okay, now this jump label, it is a conditional jump or unconditional jump?
Unconditional.
It is unconditional jump. So it will jump, so the flow of the program is changed. The flow of program and the flow is directly moved from this location. So I will explain this with an example. Let's say I am in the class and I am asking the name of each individual student, like what's your name, and I am going in sequence. And somebody raises his question, his hand. So I am now at this address. Now he is raised his hand, I am serving him. So it means now the control has been changed. And instead of this address, I have now jumped to a further address. So it actually changed the flow of the program. So this is an example of unconditional jump instruction. Okay, now if you look at the label, so actually this is label. And what is label? Label is actually an address. Label is an address. And how this label is calculated? This label is calculated. Now if you look at this instruction I4, what is the difference of this address? Offset. So if you want to now, what is the value of program counter when it was executing? What was the value of the program counter when it was executing I4? What was the value of the program counter?
A plus 2.
A plus 12. Because program counter is pointing to the current instruction in memory. Okay, initially I will explain this in example. Initially program counter is pointing to an A,
Base address.
the base address. When this instruction is executed, automatically moves to the
Next address.
next instruction. So now what's the value?
4.
A plus 4. Then
A plus 8.
A plus 8. Then
12.
A plus 12. Now when A plus 12, it encounters a jump instruction. It encounters a jump instruction. When it encounters a jump instruction, so the control has to be moved from A plus 12 to where? A plus 99 multiplied by 4. So actually what the assembler will do? Assembler will calculate the difference of this label and this label. And actually what will it do? So if you look at the instruction set encoding, so this is a J type instruction, and it is an output is jump, and actually it is the offset. So offset is calculated. This offset is added. Now what is the offset? 99 multiplied by 4 minus what? 12.
A plus 12.
99 multiplied by 4 minus 12. 99 multiplied by 4 is actually 396 minus 12. 3 what?
84.
84. So actually the offset is now 384. So actually what's done? This offset is now added with the value of program counter, and offset field is from here. This offset is added, and what is now this?
Final value.
New address. New address of what? New address of the and the program counter will be added with this address. And now if it is a subroutine instruction, now we have to jump. If it is a subroutine instruction, so before jumping on that instruction, the assembler will move this, the address of this instruction where? Stack. And when you will encounter a return instruction, so this will be then resumed. Okay? So this will be resumed. Okay, so now this is an example of a jump instruction. And jump instruction is actually a unconditional jump instruction. It does not check any condition. But if you look at the conditional jump instruction, so the jump is actually made on a condition. How the conditions are checked? Let's see.
ये जब एग्जीक्यूट हो जाएगी जंप इंस्ट्रक्शन तो वापस प्रीवियस वैल्यू पे आना है नेक्स्ट वैल्यू
नहीं, अगर आप सिर्फ जंप की बात करें, अब गो टू है तो गो टू में वापस नहीं आएगा. If it is go to, it will not come again. But if it is function calling, then it will return back.
and meanwhile
If it is JSR, jump to subroutine. So actually it will jump on the label. This value will be pushed on the stack. And when that program finishes, that value from the stack will be resumed to the program counter. Okay, got it? Now so in this conditional jump instruction, we have some CCs, VCC label. Now this is condition check. CC stands for condition check. What can be the value of CC? The value of CC, there are different possibilities of CC. One is EQ, NEQ, CC, CS, VS, VC, and GT, and LS. EQ means equal, NEQ
not equal.
not equal, CC carry clear, carry set, overflow set, overflow clear, GT greater, LS less. How it will, which flag will it check? Now test flag. Which flag will be checked? So actually equal for not equal, we will check Z flag. We will check C flag, and for CS, C flag and V flag. Okay, now the branch will be taken. अच्छा, equal कब होगा? Before this CC label, there will be some compare instruction. Before this, it will compare Q and P. When it will compare Q and P, so which flag will be for C